Hi, I'm Joe Kraz, Technical Director for Indasa USA. And today we're here showcasing all of our abrasives, masking products, and our tools at IWF 2024. So we are showcasing our new mesh line, which is going to come in multiple different configurations. But the benefit of this is going to be the most extreme dust extraction. Basically, it's not going to clog up when you're dealing with a lot of softer substrates. Okay, it's got a blue fired aluminum oxide, so that's going to give you extended working time as well. All right. On top of that, we're also showcasing some of our masking products. So we have here our cover rolls, which if you're looking for a quick, fast solution to mask off those cabinet boxes, this is something that very easily can be done in a fraction of the time that traditional masking. And then also too, we have some of our tools that we're showing. So we have our pneumatic DA attached to our mobile dust extraction system. And then also too, a lot of people are showing some interest in the electric DA. So if you're looking for something that's very ergonomic, very lightweight, very quiet, don't want to use your air compressor, this is the way to go.
What type of sandpaper and what grits or in general, what would you recommend to prepare the wood for finishing?
Well, the first thing that we recommend is to check with your coatings manufacturer. We always say check with your technical data sheet, and that's really what we would refer to the technician. And as far as though, there is a rule of thumb for stepping up the grits. So let's say if the coating manufacturer says to finish off in maybe a 220 grit, we would start, depending on how bad the surface is or what you're working with, maybe start with like a 150, then go to 180, and then to a 220. Another thing to remember is that when you're dealing with abrasives, there's different kinds of abrasives. And so we do see some people that they're just seeing a grit on the disc or on the box. And typically with the coatings manufacturer, they're gonna recommend, if it's, let's say, a 220 grit, it's gonna have a rating. So with Indasa, we have a P rating, okay? So we follow the FIPA standards, and FIPA stands for the Federation European Producers of Abrasives. What that really means is that the grit size, the grain, is the same size diameter. So when you're dealing with abrasives that don't have that P rating, you might have a blend of different grits, and that's going to leave you more of an inconsistent scratch. So what we're trying to do is to, let's say if the coating manufacturer says a 220 grit, we have a P220, so everything is very consistent, so we're getting the perfect finish every time, and that's going to give you a more uniform finish for you.
Awesome. So when it comes to flat sanding, buffing, and polishing finish on a guitar, right?
Yep.
What type of grit material is best for clear coats, polyester, polyurethanes, and which one of your lines would you recommend for that?
Okay, so when you're dealing with those type of coatings, you're trying to get like an ultra high gloss,
yeah.
And it's one of those things where you can take mechanical sand and abrasives to make your buff and your polishing process go easier, okay? So we would recommend going to something with our film line, and this will go up to a P1500 grit, and this is basically a polyester film with aluminum oxide, and it's a premium special abrasive. And so with polyester, you're gonna get the most uniform scratch out of that. And then, so that's gonna make your buffing process easier. So we would recommend our process, like on a clear coat, would be to take that up to, something like a 1500 grit, P1500 grit. And then we do have, and we have it here in our 3-inch, but get this open. We do offer this in 6-inch as well.
Yep.
This is our Rhino Cell, foam backed abrasive aluminum oxide. And then that would actually, it's basically a pre-polished disc. So you'd go over your 1500 grit with the Rhino Cell, all dry, so you can see what you're virtually doing. And then you would take and go ahead and buff that. And if they're looking to buff like a clear coat, we have our Auto Gloss, all water-based, no fillers, no silicone, okay? And basically it's diminution abrasive. So it gives you a nice balance, and we're looking for the cut, but also the gloss. And we actually measure that with a gloss meter. So we can go ahead, buff out the Rhino Cell, basically get that high gloss. If you're dealing with like a darker color, like especially like a black,
yeah.
Then we have our High Gloss Plus, which is a polish, and what I call this is basically a swirl remover for holograms and so forth. But once again, no fillers, no silicone, all water-based. The other thing that's nice with this, we try to promote health and safety. So the all gloss, there's no VOCs, zero VOCs, volatile organic compounds, okay? And then we go to the high gloss, it's globally VOC compliant. So we're giving products that are gonna promote safety, health and safety, by also giving you the perfect finish.
What type of grain, what type of mineral do you use?
Mineral, sure.
So what would you say are the key differences between solid carbide and aluminum oxide, and would you recommend a specific use for each one of them, or can you use them for everything, or what's the deal?
So it really depends on the substrate, okay? But the biggest difference, aluminum oxide is basically like a boulder, okay? And silicon carbide is like almost like a piece of glass.
Yeah.
And how abrasives work is that they keep fracturing, okay? Keep breaking apart to keep a sharp edge. Silicon carbide, there's no E at the end of that, remember that? But silicon carbide is what they call friable. So I make it simple, fragile.
Yeah.
Okay, so typically with silicon carbide, we see a lot of people, which we produce, wet sand in sheets. So they have to add water to that, keep it cool, and that extends the work time, okay? But with aluminum oxide, you can dry sand with that, okay? And it's what they call semi-friable. So it fractures at a much slower pace, so you get extended work time, and that's why typically, unlike the coatings that you're asking about, you can dry sand with those and get extended working time. And then the other thing too, people ask a lot of times with, well, I like to wet sand even with the disc. Well, we have an anti-clog coating, okay? That's a steri. So we have a water-based anti-clog coating that basically prevents load-in and no water needed. So once again, you can see what you're doing. And if you add dust extraction, I'll rip these off. You add dust extraction, and we have dust extraction in our ultravent, in our pad, okay? And we have this on the finer grits, okay? And the nice thing with this is that you're gonna get 100% extraction because the one hole lines up with the slot, and you're gonna get the most dust extraction with minimal load-in. So you're gonna extend the working time that way.
Awesome. Well, this was amazing. Thank you very much for your time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate the interview.
Thank you.